Hey guys, today I'm going to show you how to make an easy version of beef bourguignon, and it's basically beef au vin. And if you've ever had coq au vin, or if you've ever made it before, then it's pretty similar. The only differences are that you're using beef and the procedures are a little different, but the way I make it, I'm going to make it very similar to the way that I make coq au vin. So let's get this started. And right in front of me I have my herbs, which is basically just thyme, bay leaves. I have 2 whole bay leaves here, and then I have 1 crushed bay leaf, and then I also have small sprigs of fresh rosemary. Then I have some sea salt and black pepper. On the chopping board I have pork lardons, which is basically just really fatty bacon, and this is just uncured bacon that I have here. And then I also have shallots that I cubed, a couple of organic carrots that I just cut up into 1-inch long pieces. The smaller ones I just left them whole like this, and then a few cloves of fresh garlic. I also have some butter ready here. I'm not going to be using the whole thing. Tomato paste. I have my beef, which is pretty much thawed out. And then I have my red wine. And today I'm going to be using this cabernet. I have my pot here, which is heating up so that we can start putting in these ingredients right away. I will also be using some all-purpose flour and a little bit of water. So the first thing we're putting in is the pork, the fatty pork, and we're just going to let that sizzle up until all the fat is pretty much rendered out of it. Okay, so my bacon has been pretty much rendered of its fat. I have my beef here. This is a little over a pound, maybe 1 1/3 of a pound. And what I did was, when I took it out of the water, I just patted it dry. And then I'm going to add, I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of salt directly on here, so that when you brown each side, it's going to develop a nice little crust. And then you're going to take some flour and you're going to just kind of lightly coat a little bit. You know, like that. So, you know, you need maybe a couple tablespoons of flour. So now I'm just going to brown each side of the beef. So a few minutes on each side, just until it's gotten like a little bit of a crust. And then I'll show you the next step, which is basically just adding all of our flavorings here. So all the vegetables and the herbs. So after you've browned each side, just going to take it out, put it onto the plate, and then just see if there's too much oil in here or grease. Just pour some of it out. But I don't think there's not too much in here, so I'll just leave it as it is. Now I'm going to add my my wine so I can deglaze the bottom of this pan. So about 1/4 of a cup. And then you're going to add a little bit of water. So I have 2 cups of water. And now I'm going to add the meat back into the pan. If some flour gets in there, that's fine. What that'll do is thicken the sauce a bit. I'm going to add the onions, the garlic, carrots. Add the herbs now too. We'll put in the rosemary, the crushed bay leaf, and the 2 small whole bay leaves. Sprinkle the thyme in there, the black pepper, and the sea salt. I think it'll need more salt. The flavoring to your preference, but remember that you did add 2 cups of water in there, so it will need more salt. And of course, can't forget the tomato paste. Okay, and then I have the oven preheating to 375 degrees. We're going to put this whole thing into the oven until the beef is fork tender. And that is basically it for now. Usually takes around an hour and a half for the beef to get nice and soft. Okay, so again, this is very similar to coq au vin. If you haven't made coq au vin before, you just substitute the beef for chicken. And chicken, of course, is usually a lot cheaper than beef. And the coq au vin tastes really good. A lot of people just think that coq au vin is hard to make because, you know, there's a lot of ingredients, especially if you look at the Julia Child's recipe or the Jacques Pepin recipes. But if you do it the way that I'm doing it, it'll take you max about 30 minutes to do all the prep work, and then you just stick it in the oven and you can do all sorts of other things while your dinner is cooking. So we'll get right back to you in about an hour and a half. I'll put this into the oven once my oven gets to 375. Okay, so this is the finished product, and I just put it on top of a bed of brown basmati rice, but it took about a total of a little more than 2 hours to cook. I left the beef in there whole, and I cut it up almost halfway through the cooking time, but I just like to leave it in one whole piece when I first start cooking it. You could chop it up into cubes, but I like the presentation of a whole piece of beef. But anyway, I'm going to try it for you right now. It is really, really savory. It just makes your mouth water, and it has a strong flavor of the red wine. So just make sure that you're using a wine that you like to drink, because that's going to be the biggest flavor profile of this dish. There's a lot of other different recipes for beef bourguignon, but this I find to be the easiest one, and it is really flavorful, even though in other recipes you have to do a few other last steps after the beef is nice and tender. So with this, you get to skip about another 30 minutes of other work. With any recipe that I try to make it so that it's something that will be easy, so you can even do it on the weekdays, and also for you to be able to source the ingredients just as easily as if you were making something, you know, pre-packaged or straight from a box. because I find that that's what makes people want to cook, want to try new food or new recipes, is if it's something that they can make in like 30 minutes or an hour, or just something that they can throw in a pot and forget about it. So if you like this video, please like and share, and I'll see you guys next time.